And then it was time. Yes. Oh, what the hell was that? That voice. Junpei was utterly and completely baffled. Huh? What are you talking about? What's up? Seven and Clover ran over to him, but Junpei didn't know what to tell them. If he told them he'd heard a voice, they'd laugh. Or worse, think he was going insane. So all he said was, "Oh, nothing." Nailed it. He cleared his throat a little too loud and looked pointedly down at his bracelet. There were a pair of small buttons protruding from either side of it. Junpei pressed the buttons on the bracelet. Truth had gone. Truth had gone. Truth had gone. Right, left, right, left. The right, left. That was it. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. 8 numbers blinked on and then off on the bracelet display. Junpei checked one last time. 1, 4, 3, 8, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. Huh? Eh? Hey, what the hell were those numbers? Oh my gosh, are those? Junpei didn't answer. He simply walked straight to the coffin. He knelt down in front of the keypad, running over the numbers in his head so that he wouldn't forget. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. With trembling fingers, he punched them in. That was all of them. And that's the map, sorry. He punched the E button. There was a moment of complete silence. Then there was the sound of the coffin lid unlatching. Someone sat up out of it. Clover screamed. Oh, is that you, Clover? I apologize for worrying you. Snake? Oh my, how did you... Junpei and Seven, is that you? Is everyone else there as well? Just like Rip Van Winkle. Still, it was very much like Snake to simply cut to the heart of the matter and ask. Junpei and Seven shared a wry smile. Clover's eyes were filled with tears. You're back! With a cry of joy, she leapt into Snake's arms. Gently now, my body's still a little weak. You're back, you're back. Clover looked like nothing so much as a lost child who had finally found her home. She cried and cried and cried. Her eyes were red and her nose was running. She hiccuped and gasped, as if she were about to begin hyperventilating. You're back! You're really here. Her voice was happy but almost desperate, as if she feared he would disappear again if she stopped talking to him. Tear after tremendous tear rolled its way down her face. Her small arms strained as she clutched Snake's body as tightly as she could. Perhaps she had to convince herself he was real. Perhaps she was worried he would be gone the moment she let go. Perhaps she simply didn't know what else to do. Come now, what's gotten into you? You're acting as though I've returned from the grave. Not as though. You did. I really thought you were dead. Huh? You jerk. Idiot, idiot, idiot. Clover broke into sobs so great she could no longer talk. It was a touching reunion between brother and sister. Even though Junpei knew they had little time, and every minute they waited was a minute they wasted, it felt cruel to pull them apart. Junpei and Seven sat down on one of the pews waiting for Clover to calm down before explaining to Snake what had transpired. I see. I believe I understand things rather well now, thank you. In the shower room, there is a dead body wearing my clothes. Because of that, you thought that I was dead, correct? He had quickly and neatly summarized the events of several hours. Junpei nodded. You also discovered a corpse in the captain's quarters, and Santa turned on you here, in this room. Do I have it straight? Seven had been rather surprised to learn of the dead body in the captain's quarters. With everything that had taken place, Junpei had simply forgotten to mention it to him. Well then, I've got a pretty decent idea of what happened while I was indisposed, but it's still something of a mystery who did all this and why. The corpse in the shower room that looked like me, and the corpse in the captain's quarters. Why were they killed in the way that they were? You don't know? No. Why would I? The guy in the shower room. We don't know who he is, so let's just call him Mr. X. Anyway, this Mr. X is wearing Snake's clothes. But you're wearing some kind of weird robes. That means someone took your clothes and put them on Mr. X. We need to figure out who that was. I apologize, but I have no idea who might have done this to me. I only just now woke up. I was unconscious during all the events you just described to me. They must have undressed me and changed my clothes during that time. When were you knocked out? When we split up to look for the red. Where did they get you? Do you remember? It was a small room in one of the hallways on C deck. What happened? The same thing that happened to every one of us when we were abducted. A can releasing some sort of gas was thrown into the room. I believe the gas is some sort of incapacitating agent. Then that means it was zero. Looks that way, huh? There's nothing else I have to tell you. When I woke up, I was in this coffin. Junpei crossed his arms in thought. Why had Zero made Mr. X wear Snake's clothes? How had the results of that trick benefited Zero? It was a mystery. Junpei couldn't make sense of it. He also didn't have a satisfactory explanation for how he'd discerned the key code for the coffin. It just didn't make sense. Truth had gone, truth had gone, truth had gone. What did that mean? Did it mean anything? And why had Junpei felt compelled to push the buttons on the bracelet after hearing them? Seven had asked him about it while they waited for Clover to finish crying. He'd had no answer for him then, and he still didn't. All he could say was that it seemed to have been a subconscious reaction. His fingers had simply moved of their own accord. It was the only explanation that made any sort of sense, and it almost made no sense. Junpei had no idea what any of it meant. His mind was a maelstrom of mysteries, clues, theories, and more mysteries. He could barely think. And of course, Snake and Clover had been subject in a similar experiment 9 years ago. The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger. And someone did actually die. A girl. Her name was, There had been another experiment conducted on this same ship 9 years ago. A girl had died during it. Morphogenetic field theory. The 2 murders. Switching clothes. The nonary game. And whatever strange thing was happening to Junpei himself. The maelstrom in his head spat out words and ideas that disappeared back into it almost as soon as he grasped them. But as he struggled through them, Junpei began to realize something. There was something that tied all of them together. Zero. He was the ringleader, the person who had trapped 9 people on a sinking ship. Zero knew everything. If they could uncover Zero's identity, all of their questions would be answered. Who was Zero? Junpei had the beginnings of a theory. If he could only test it, or perhaps At any rate, we'll have plenty of time to decipher the details later. For now, it is of utmost importance that we escape. Junpei, it was 4:30 the last time you checked the clock, yes? That means we have less than an hour. We must hurry.
Hey, how are we gonna get out of here?
Isn't that obvious? Through the other number 9 door. Junpei plus Clover plus 7 plus 2 is 18, 1 plus 8 is 9.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. With Snake, we can open the door.
Don't tell me you hadn't figured that out. As they sniped back and forth, Junpei glanced at Snake's left hand. He was wearing a bracelet with a 2 on it.
Come on, you gotta tell me these things.
I, assumed you'd figured it out.
Forget it. Let's just get going.
7 stomped off toward the smaller number 9 door. Clover, Snake, and Junpei followed. 7 quickly laid his hand on the red. An asterisk appeared on the screen. Junpei and the others followed suit and laid their hands on the scanner panel. Soon there were 4 asterisks on the screen. 7 glanced at them, then laid his hand on the lever of the red.
All right. You guys ready to go?
Yes. Yep. Junpei paused for a moment. Not yet.
Huh?
Before we go in, I'd like to check something. You want to check something? Yeah, but before I do, 7, could you pull the lever? I want to make sure we can verify with just the 4 of us.
What do you mean? We don't need...
Just do it, alright? But if the door opens, don't go in yet, okay? Please. This is really important. I really need to check this, okay? Work with me here. Junpei looked directly into 7's eyes. The older man looked back for a moment, then nodded.
Fine.
Seven pulled down on the lever and door 9 creaked open. Then they waited. 6, 7, 8. After 9 seconds, the door closed. Alright, that means the 4 of us can go into door 9.
So? We knew that already. It's obvious.
Obvious? Yeah, you're right. It is. Now what happens if we add Zero's bracelet?
What?
Zero's bracelet. Why don't you take it out, Clover? For a moment, Clover looked surprised, but she recovered quickly and stuck her tongue out at Junpei. So you did know I had it. I picked it up because I thought it might be useful sometime. She reached into one of the pockets of her voluminous jacket and produced a bracelet. Junpei took it from her and turned to 7. This was in the left hand of the corpse in the captain's quarters. If you look at it, you can see it's got a 0 on the face. Just to make this a little easier to talk about, I'm going to call the guy we found dead in the captain's quarters Cap. Thanks, Dad. If Cap was really 0, then I should be able to open door 9 with just me, Clover, and his bracelet. 5 plus 4 plus 0 is 9. But most importantly, if you were Cap and this was your game, would you really put one of these bracelets on yourself? Anyway, let's just give it a shot. Clover, give me your hand. Okay. After he and Clover scanned their bracelets, he waved Caps over the scanner panel. Then he pulled the lever. However, the door didn't open. The Reds display read, "Error." I knew it. Now, what does this tell us?
Maybe the bracelet has to be on your wrist in order for it to work.
No, that's impossible. Did you see how the panel showed a 3rd asterisk when I scanned Cap's bracelet? Whether or not it's on your wrist doesn't matter. All you have to do is put the bracelet near the panel for it to register. 7 waved his bracelet in front of the scanner panel. Sure enough, a single asterisk appeared on the red.
Huh. Looks like you're right.
See? So what does that mean? There's only one possibility. That bracelet isn't the number 0. Is that what you're saying? That's right. Then what number is it? Let's find out. Junpei scanned the bracelet with this combination. So I know this already. I'm gonna leave Clover out. Snake plus Junpei plus 7 plus Cap. If this combination opened the door, then Cap's bracelet was number 4. However, the door didn't open. Cap's number wasn't 4. Let's do the other one. If this combination opened the door, then Cap's bracelet was number 5. Come on. I think I thought I knew this one. Not 4, it's not 5. So if it's... Let's try this one. Snake and Clover and Cap. If this combination opened the door, then Cap's bracelet was number 3. That didn't do it either. This better be worth something, Junpei. This combination opened the door, and Cap's bracelet was 7. And it didn't. Go.
Hey, it opened. The door opened.
What? Why? What does that mean? Both 7 and Clover seemed shaken as they turned to look at Junpei for answers. The door slid heavily shut. Junpei raised an eyebrow. Isn't it obvious? Cap's bracelet is number 6.
But doesn't it say 0?
This isn't a 0. The symbol on here isn't a number 0. It's a letter. O.
Oh.
Whoa, wait a minute. I don't get it. I mean, we figured out that Cap's bracelet is 6, right? Yeah. Does that mean there are 2 people with 6s? Before Junpei could answer, Snake spoke up. There is most likely only one person with a 6. But I don't get it. What about June? Well, this is only an educated guess, but I think June's number was never 6 to begin with. Her bracelet was flipped. In other words, June's real number is 9? That seems the most likely. Then all this numbered door stuff was just a load of crap? Why would you say that? Because if June is 9, then the numbers wouldn't match up. Clover grabbed Junpei's notebook and began to write furiously in it. Junpei leaned over to look at it. List of all the numbered doors June's gone through. Clover read each row out loud so that Snake could follow along. Alright, I made a list of all the numbered doors that June has gone through so far. I wrote down which door she went into and with who. Technically it's with whom, Clover. And I wrote what all the numbers were. So if you switch 9 in wherever there's a 6, the numbers don't work. If the digital root is 7, then you can't open door 4. If the digital root is 2, then you can't open door 8. Clover, do you notice anything interesting on that list? What do you mean?
You're talking about 3, right?
3?
Santa's always in the room with her. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. What about it? That's quite simple, really. You told me that the first time you came to this room, Santa was the first to refuse to leave June behind. Now, doesn't that beg the question, why? Why would Santa do such a thing? The answer is easy. Because Santa can't open door 9 with only 7 in Lotus. Of course, there's only one reason for that. His number isn't actually 3. Santa's real number... 7, would you be so kind as to modify my sister's equations?
Yeah, sure.
7 took the pen from a confused Clover and began to adjust her calculations. This is what you were... No.
This is what you were getting at, right, Snake?
He read out the changes he'd made. When he'd finished, he looked at Snake. Snake smiled. Thank you. That is exactly right, 7. Santa's true number wasn't 3. It was 0. No way. Santa is 0? And June was 9, not 6. On the contrary, Santa was 0, not 3. Plus 3 and minus 3. They cancel one another out. Nothing appears out of order.
Then that means that even though he set the whole damn thing up, Santa was still playing by the rules of the nonary game this whole time.
Precisely. So you're saying Santa planned this whole thing? I'm not sure if he acted alone or not, but I think it is safe to conclude that he is 0. If my hypothesis is correct. Clover bit her lip. She seemed to be having some difficulty believing her brother's explanation. Junpei remained silent and thought. Snake's hypothesis didn't satisfy him. June's bracelet was flipped. Even if that were possible, then there would have been 2 number 9 bracelets. And if that were the case... Alright, that's enough talking. Let's go. It's high time we went through that door. Door 9 opened. They leapt through. The dead was directly in front of them as they came through the door. Quickly, they scanned their bracelets. And the detonator stopped. Phew! After pausing for a moment to catch their collective breath, Junpei and his companions headed down the long hallway in front of them. At the end was a set of stairs leading down into the ship. It looked as though they led all the way to the bottom deck. They looked down. It didn't seem to be flooded. After deciding it was safe, they headed down the stairs. Before long, Junpei and his companions found themselves on the bottom deck. They turned left into another hallway, at the end of which they found another door. And of course, there was a symbol engraved over the keyhole. It looked like the sort of harpoon one would use to hunt fish, the kind with 3 prongs. Snake traced the shape of it with his fingers. Sweet. Yes, hello. This is the Neptune symbol. There must be a key around here somewhere. All Junpei had was the Uranus keycard. Not the same planet, and not even the same sort of key. Clearly it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to open this door. After examining the door for a few more minutes, they gave up and headed back the way they'd come. With a little more searching, they found a metal door. To the side of it was a card reader. A symbol was engraved onto the card reader. It matched the Uranus symbol on the key card Junpei was carrying. This is the place. He muttered to himself and slid the card through the reader. It beeped once, and the light on it turned green. With a heavy metal groan, the door creaked open. Junpei, Clover, Snake, and 7 looked at one another, nodded, and stepped through. The room they found themselves in was full of books. It looked remarkably like a library. Not the sort of library where large numbers of people came to read books, more the sort of library that was simply a place to store books. He felt a little overwhelmed by the sheer number of books, but Junpei did his best to speak with authority. Alright. If we want to get through that door out there, we need the Neptune key. I say we split up and look for it. Okay. Very well.
Sure thing.
Good. Let's get started then. We don't have a lot of time. Hurry. Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the forest of knowledge. As he began his search for reasons he didn't fully understand, Junpei felt those particular words float through his mind. Lights to the books. Huh? What does that mean? Interesting. While intelligence often hides itself in darkness, have you ever thought about the pages of a book? Each page only sees, what, maybe 2 or 3 minutes of light before the reader is on to the next. They spend the rest of their lives locked in darkness, rather like myself. That's horrible. Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining, not at all. I live in the darkness, yes. But that has gifted me with the ability to catch the truths others might miss. I can hear the voices hidden in the darkness, you might say. Note on the table says lights to the books.
Well, I know what telepathy is, but I've never heard of teletemporation.
It refers to having the ability to travel through time.
Okay.
This one says the golden rabbit and the moon on it. Does that mean it's about a rabbit that lives on the moon? Rabbits are pretty cute, but what's the moon stuff about? It's talking about the Judas tree that is said to grow on the moon, according to Chinese legend. Okay, thanks, Dad. This book is called Mind Swap. You mean you could, like, change bodies with someone? Well, I guess I wouldn't mind switching bodies with my brother Junpei too much, but I'd rather die than let Seven switch with me.
What the hell? Like I'd even want to swap bodies with a little brat like...
Hey, were you just imagining it? You were!
Just shut up!
Yeah, well, he wasn't the only one. No, I think he was, Junpei. Kitab al-Azif. Man, they've got some weird stuff here. Can't even pronounce this one. Who's that? Some famous guy? It's not a person's name, it's the name of a fictional book created by Abdul al-Hazred. It's said to be one of the sources used in the creation of the legendary Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon. Oh, so these are all occult books and stuff. Okay. That one looks suspicious. Okay. Teletemporation and telepathy, the rabbit in the moon. Oh boy.
Energy theory, huh? I don't even understand the damn title. Looks like this shelf's all science and technology.
I'm gonna stop exploring up here because I don't think I have what I need. Okay, 2 staircases. Dadkind. The hell is this? Wasn't that a German mathematician? Maybe it's a compilation of his work. Liebernis. Looks in German. It looks like it's complete works of something. I've never heard of it. If Snake doesn't know what it is, I don't think we'll ever know. Sheldrake. Sheldrake. Isn't Sheldrake... Hmm? I have heard the name. Owen, huh? Owen isn't enough to go on. Perhaps it's about the English Revolutionary? Small enclosure with 9 sides. There are 3 things kind of look like music stands. Am I supposed to put something on those stands? Let's see what we've got here. Oh. Sorry. No, I'm sorry.
What's the deal with this sappy stuff?
Indeed, 7. Modern Japanese literature. A picture book. Don't you think it's a little weird that this book's the only picture book? Maybe you ought to hold on to it. Okay. Got a magic wand on it. Well, aren't you going to open it? Pretty sure it's just gonna have pages inside. Smart. Whoa! A weird pop-up book. Origin of Japanese folklore. Iron plate bolted down. I don't think it's a door, it's just a wall. This bookshelf has sort of a glass inlay. Pretty big, but there are only 6 books on it. That seems kind of weird. It looks like there's something on the bottom. I can't really see it though. The glass is all foggy. Okay. Be looking for... Big opening is the door. Imagine a wall 20 inches wide that runs along the top of a 10-story building. Could you walk along that wall, Junpei? No way. And what about a balance beam in a gymnasium? Oh, well, that's easy. You don't find that strange? A balance beam is far narrower than 20 inches. So why is it that a balance beam poses no challenge to you, but the hypothetical 10-story wall does? The light can easily turn people into cowards. From the time to time, a life in darkness can give you courage. This one looks just like that picture book from earlier. Well, let's pop it open. Part of the series. There's a baseball on this one. Come on, Junpei, let's see what's in it. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say it's probably baseball stuff. Okay. Oh, look, Seven, here's a book that's perfect for you. It's called Correlation of Muscle, Bone Density, and Bone Strength. We're just saying that because it says muscle. Human anatomy. Regeneration of internal organs. Okay, I'm just looking around. Ancient gladiators. Principles of monkey behavior. I imagine the research was fruitful. Okay. Do you think we should hold hands where there aren't any handrails? I'll be fine. I can feel vibrations in the floor. That's not what I meant. What's that one called? It says Foundations of DNA and Genetic Engineering. Huh. Like there's a whole lot of space behind these books. Look, Junpei. I think there's something hidden behind the books. What is a powerful light bulb, eh? I'm thinking of a different sort of robot. I've seen
Why did mankind lose their tails?
Mankind's ancestors most likely lost their tails as they were no longer useful and the nutrients required to grow them were better put to use elsewhere. At least that's what I read. I was rather young, I may have remembered it incorrectly.
The hell would a kid be reading a book like that?
Micrografia. That's interesting. Someone... Wow, that is actually really cool. Micrographia. This whole room just feels like a place for the writers and developers to just like everything you ever thought was kinda interesting, put it in here.
Theories of the Cambrian explosion. Did a bomb go off near somewhere called Cambria?
Wrong kind of explosion. Roughly 500 million years ago, during what is known as the Cambrian period, research suggests that the variety of living organisms increased by an order of magnitude. Why that happened is, however, still something of a mystery. There are a number of theories. This book is most likely a collection of them.
Evolution, this is that Darwin guy, right?
Well, yes and no. Charles Darwin wrote a book called On the Origin of the Species. In it, he put forth his theory of evolution. Yeah, I remember that part. He called it natural selection. Exactly. Okay.
Mother Nature, is that some sort of book about hippie chicks?
Hippie chicks? Really? We're going to end up in the pages of a book like that. Just full of... Huh? What's the deal with these titles? They're all just gibberish. Hey, what if we, like, switch them around? If you move them around, maybe they'll spell something.
Oh, I get it.
Open here, find bulb. How about this? Looks like putting those books in the right order opened this thing right up. Huh, that was a piece of cake. You did it, Junpei. I guess that turned out well enough. So the letters from the title spell out open here, find bulb. Okay, this in a book.
Property values going up out in space too these days? Man, guess times are tough for aliens too.
Faraday's laws of electrolysis. Quantum gravity. Supersymmetric string theory in 10th dimensional spacetime. It's a theory of reality where, how to explain? It says that all elements of the universe are governed by the vibrations and harmonics of tiny supersymmetric strings. Just listening to you read those titles is giving me a headache. Look, this one says Cultural Heritage of Rome.
But that's gonna be serious inheritance tax. Permanent creatures.
This is a really well-organized library.
Hey, it's another one of those kids' picture books. Looks a lot like the other one we found. This one has some Native Americans on the cover. Hey, Junpei, take a look. Native Americans, huh? Maybe it's got some... Whoa! Trying to find the other book. Nope, I found the other book. Trying to find the other light bulb. Number theory is usually split into 4 chief disciplines. If there was a book named Algebraic Number Theory, I took a wild guess that the other 3 would be there as well. Looks like I was right. Snake, you smarty pants. Math books in this section. Goldback's Conjecture. But it's about jewelry, isn't it? It may have an odd title, but it's actually a very respectable mathematics book. It deals with one of the unsolved problems of additive number theory. Sorry I said anything. Look, let's not get into this right now, okay? That works? We could have been doing that this whole time? Indian mathematics. That's funny. Why is that funny? Maybe it's a joke in Japanese. Oh my god. Oh my god. Very glad I didn't start reading that part out loud. Something suspicious about the shelf on the left. You mean... How about we try putting these picture books on a stand, then... This is a little weird. It is weird, Clover. 3 lights in this thing. They aren't very bright, though. Hey, didn't we find some kind of really powerful light bulb earlier? Why don't you put it into one of those lights? Yeah, it'll get a lot brighter, but if there are 3 lights, that means 3 light bulbs. There won't be much point unless we can replace all 3 bulbs. We need 3 light bulbs, huh? Okay. Go back to this thing. Lights to the books. Cultural Heritage of Rome. Seen it. There aren't any other books that look suspicious. I'm going. Come on. So we've done that one. Wait a minute. I'm 6, 3, 2, 4, 1, 5. In the middle of the glass door is a cylinder lock. You know, the kind of lock where you rotate the numbers around until you've got the right ones to open it. What the hell is this? It's like it just gave us the answer. Guess I might as well give it a shot. You did it, Junpei. Yay. I don't know why, but I don't really feel particularly happy about being praised for that. Whatever. At least the lock's open now. Let's see if we can get it open, alright? Uh-huh. A 3rd bulb. All 6 books seem to be pointing at the cylinder number lock. What an obvious solution. Alright, so there are 3 light bulbs in there. I'm gonna change these bulbs. Now they should
Awesome! It worked.
Way to go, Junpei. Good job, buddy.
There's something projecting on the bottom.
These letters, they seem familiar.
Sheldrake 5.
Okay, Sheldrake it is.
There's a yellow book with the word, Liber needs. Hard to read. It says Sheldrake on the spine of this book. It's got the volume number written on the lower part of the spine. I want the 5th one. And I want the 5th one. Bad kind, Owen. Huh. Oh, wait. Wait, is this a thing where I know something that the players don't know yet? Yes. Sheldrake 5. Sheldrake. Junpei read the text out loud.
I think I saw the rest of this collection somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere around here.
Let's go take a look.
Okay. Seven and Clover walked off, leaving Junpei and Snake behind. Have you heard of him? Sheldrake, I mean. Junpei grinned. Yeah, Lotus told me about him. There's a British biochemist named Sheldrake. He had a rather interesting theory. The theory of morphogenetic fields, which relies on the theory of morphic resonance. Really? From Lotus, huh? Well, Clover also said something to me about that stuff. She did. Yeah, what was it? The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger.
That girl. I told her not to tell anyone.
You did? Why? Junpei's eyes narrowed. Look, man, I didn't push it because we're in a hurry, but I'm kind of sick of this. How about you just tell me, okay?
Tell you what?
Don't give me that. About the experiment. Snake's shoulders slumped and he shook his head slowly. He'd finally given up. Very well. Fine. I'll tell you everything. But not here. Let's move to the top floor. Junpei nodded. With that, they climbed the stairs to the top floor. Snake was silent for a moment after they arrived, then finally crossed his arms and spoke. I suppose I might as well start by telling you why I kept quiet, and why I made sure Clover did as well. To be honest, the explanation is quite simple. Zero told me not to. I had little choice. He didn't walk up and tell me, of course. He gave me a message engraved on a card. Snake reached into his sleeve and pulled out a small, stiff piece of paper. It looked a good deal like the one he'd shown everyone on the central staircase. So you had two cards? No, only one. Huh? What do you mean? I thought that card just had some rules for the nonary game on it. Yes, it did. And those were the rules I read you. However, they were not the only thing on the card. There was something I didn't read. Well, perhaps I should say, there was something I couldn't read. And that was... Tell no one of the events that took place 9 years ago. Tell, and I activate your sister's detonator. Oh, well... Snake nodded. Well, what about Clover? Did she get a message from Zero too? I don't believe she did. But doesn't it strike you as strange that Zero would shut my mouth, but not hers? Yeah, that does seem a little weird. To be on the safe side, however, I told her it was best not to tell anyone. Still, apparently she told you. That girl. What's wrong with her telling me? I figured some stuff out with the things she told me. No wait, I figured some stuff out with the things she told me.
I mean, it looks like the whole activate her detonator thing was just a bluff. Just prancing around downstairs, happy as a clam now that you're back. Snake glanced down at Clover and Seven, examining one of the bookshelves. That's very true. I've decided I can trust you. I've decided to tell you the truth. The chance that Santa is zero is very high. I feel I can assume Santa doesn't have the time to observe us at the moment, and at any rate, even if he were, I very much doubt he would kill us. Why not? Clover told me about the four-leaf clover, about the words. If he knew about that, then he was in my group during the first experiment. I'm sure of it. He wouldn't kill us, no matter what the situation was. Snake paused and cocked his head as though he was listening to something very far away. His face looked dark, as though something was weighing on him. Hey, Snake? Junpei wasn't quite sure what to say. Snake turned and looked at him. Yes, I know. You want to know what happened during the experiment? Yeah. How much do you know? Junpei relayed to Snake everything Clover had told him. The morphogenetic field and the experiments 9 years prior that had dealt with it. How the experiment had taken place simultaneously at two locations, one being the ship and the other being a building in Nevada. How they'd played the nonary game. He told him everything. And finally, he told him how a girl had died during the experiment. Oh, she told you all that, did she? Snake looked down. His face was tight. A slight tremor shook his body and he tried to hide it. He was putting on a good front, but even Junpei could tell that he was holding back something deep and powerful. He made as if to brush something from his face and looked up at Junpei. At any rate, I now know how much you've learned. All that remains for us to determine is who did this and why, right? Yes. Can you tell me what happened? Snake nodded slowly. The people who organized the initial experiment were from a company called Cradle Pharmaceutical. There were 4 of them running the show. Gentaro Hongo, Nagisa Nijisaki, Teruaki Kubota, Kagechika Musashido. Hongo was the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical. Nijisaki was his right-hand man and did the lion's share of the planning. Kubota led the company's research and development division. Musashido was their majority stockholder. It was these 4 people who planned the initial experiment. Let me simplify it for you. Hongo designed it, and Nijisaki put it all together. Kubota developed the technology required, and Musashido provided the cash. So it's Hongo, Nijisaki, Kubota, and Musashido. Junpei couldn't shake the sense that he had heard those 4 names somewhere before. Of course, more than 4 people were required to conduct an experiment of this scale. To that end, they organized a top-secret team to assist them with their research. All in all, they gathered 10 people or so. Those 10 completed their team and they were able to begin the project. They named it the Nonary Project. The purpose of the experiment was to research the prospect of controlling a human mind through sheer will. The vessel, I suppose you could say, for this control was the morphogenetic field. Why did the glycerin suddenly begin to crystallize? Why did the crystal structure of EDT undergo a sudden change? Why did the rats improve their puzzle-solving skills with each generation? Experiments with humans produced the same results. The more people who knew the answer to a question, the more people there were who could answer correctly without having seen the problem before. Why? How? The answer is that the shape of the answer has been stored in a field invisible to the naked eye. And through that field, the resonant event transmits information related to that answer. That's essentially the idea behind morphogenetic fields. But that's just a theory. Can't bring yourself to believe it? Not really. Let's say someone killed another person because the devil told them to do it. Whether the devil exists or not has no relevance to the murderer. They believe the devil exists, whether or not he does is immaterial. So what matters here is that Hongo believed in the morphogenetic field. Snake nodded. But I still don't get it. You said they wanted to figure out how to control people, right? That is what you were saying. Yes. So how are they going to do that with a morphogenetic field? I'll keep it simple. Let's suppose 10,000 people have solved a certain problem. The chance of you knowing that answer, even if no one has told you, will go up. Let's have another example, shall we? Say 1 million people were to do a handstand right now. Tomorrow, the chances of you doing a handstand would be higher, even if you had heard nothing of this hypothetical mass handstanding. Mankind's thought process and actions are all part of a resonant event. All of the resonant events encoded in the fields are projected onto you. Of course, this assumes you believe in this theory. Do you follow so far? Yeah. But let's say, hypothetically, that there was a person who had the same effect as those millions of people. What would happen? If that one person were to do a handstand, other people would find themselves wanting to do handstands as well. Can you imagine what a person with powers like that would be able to do? Come on, there's no way. I'm not done. Imagine another scenario. Imagine another person. This is an ordinary person. Let's say he does a handstand. What if there was someone who could grab the resonant event he created by doing that and use it to make other people do handstands? What would happen then? A person who has the power to write to the field and someone who can read from the same. You could think of them as the writer and the reader, or the transmitter and the receiver. What would the world be like if there were people with abilities like these? Junpei thought about it for a moment. So the transmitter's resonant event can be transmitted through the field and sent to the receiver. And then the transmitter can control the receiver however they wish. That's what you're saying, right? Yes. Close enough, at least. Come on, that's just crazy. Well, if you want to prove that, then you'll have to test it first. At least, that was how they thought. That was why they decided to do their experiment. That was how the Nonary Project began. Snake suddenly looked very serious. Junpei, have you ever heard of the Ganzfeld experiment? Junpei nodded. Yeah, that was an experiment in telepathy, right? They put a pair of subjects in separate rooms, and they'd show one of them a picture and ask the other one what they saw. Interesting. I'm impressed. Yes, that is exactly correct. So why'd you bring up the Ganzfeld experiment? It was used to screen subjects for the Nonary Project. The hospital in a remote town was affiliated with Cradle Pharmaceutical. Hongo used it to conduct experiments on visiting children in secret. Some of them, he found, had potential. He began to gather children that showed promise, children that seemed as though they might be able to access the field. Of course, none of them volunteered. They were kidnapped. His face barely moved as he spoke. There were 9 pairs of siblings taken for 18 children total. For reasons that were not fully understood at the time, each pair had 1 transmitter and 1 receiver. They were split perfectly. As such, the 18 children were split into 2 groups of 9. The children who were put into Group Q were the ones who excelled at transmitting. They were transferred to the mock experiment building known as Building Q in the Nevada desert. The children who excelled at receiving were put in Group A. The members of Group A were placed on the former hospital ship Gigantic. From the experiments he had conducted so far, Hongo had learned the following. There are 2 things that can increase one's resonance with the fields. The first is epiphany. The other is danger. Have you ever been faced with an especially difficult problem and thought about it very long and very hard until finally an answer suddenly appeared in your mind? It may seem obvious to say so, but that is what is meant by epiphany. The information obtained through that epiphany can be easily transmitted through the fields, where it can be easily interpreted. Adding danger to that equation allows for even easier field access. Therefore, Hongo set up a number of puzzles across the Gigantic. The participants had to solve each puzzle before they could move to the next room. Of course, he hadn't forgotten to include danger. More specifically, he had detonated a bomb in the hull of the Gigantic. The children in Group A were forced to play the nonary game as the ship sunk. By forcing the children into a life-or-death situation, Hongo hoped to increase the likelihood of their tapping into the fields. The children from Group Q, on the other hand, were confined to the mock experiment building, Building Q. Building Q duplicated the interior and the puzzles of the Gigantic exactly. Hongo explained the situation to the children in Group Q. Solve the puzzles you find throughout the rooms. When you solve them, transmit that information to the children in Group A. If you succeed, they will be able to solve the puzzles and escape. But if you fail, then the Gigantic will sink and your brothers and sisters will drown. Do you know why the astronauts of Apollo 13 were able to return to Earth safely? It was because NASA had access to a replica of the Apollo 13 capsule. All of the equipment, the instruments, everything, all of it identical. NASA was able to replicate the situation the astronauts were facing. By putting themselves in the same situation, they attempted to solve the problems they knew the astronauts were experiencing. Once they had found solutions, they reported their findings to the men aboard the actual capsule. That was how they were able to return safely. It was the same with the Gigantic in Building Q. The children from Group Q had to use the power of Epiphany to solve the puzzles they found and transmit what they learned through the fields. The children in Group A, however, had to access the fields to learn how they might advance to the next stage. That is the simplest explanation I can manage. Snake sounded defeated. His half-hearted attempt at derision served only to show how much the story had affected him. Just as Junpei was about to speak. Hey, Junpei! Snake! How much longer are you two gonna sit around on those bony asses? Get down here already! Seven's voice echoed up from below. Snake took a deep breath and blinked rapidly as if just waking up from a long nap. He's right. Let's go, shall we? We don't have much time. We need to get out of here, and soon. Snake headed for the stairs, but Junpei put out an arm to stop him. Hold it. There's one more thing I want to ask you. Are you sure that there were 18 kids? Why? Well, I thought it was only 16. Oh, yes, that was what they said on the news, wasn't it? Yes, I have no doubt that 18 children were abducted and used in Hongo's experiment. After all, you couldn't exactly play a nonary game with any less, could you? Well, yeah, but are you saying that the news got it wrong? Yes, I am. There were 2 more children. However, they had no relatives that I'm aware of. I imagine no one filed a police report when they went missing. They were brother and sister, like Clover and I. The brother's name was Aoi. The sister's name was... Her name was... Snake couldn't seem to bring himself to continue. Her name was pain. It looked as if what he was about to say brought him great pain. Her name was Akane. That was the girl who died. Junpei felt as if he had been punched in the stomach. His vision went blurry and his head felt light. He couldn't think straight. Everything was blank. Had Akane Kurashiki died 9 years ago? If she had, then who was June? No, that was impossible. It couldn't be true. Akane wasn't an uncommon name. If Snake had known her last name, then that would have been a different matter entirely. So they shared a name. There were many other people who did as well. It meant nothing. It was a different person. Of course it was. A different person. It had to be. Junpei shook his head hard and pulled himself back to reality. Is something wrong, Junpei? Your breathing sounds strange. Then Snake had noticed. Junpei cleared his throat and tried to act calm. Oh, no, it's nothing. I'm fine. Let's get back down there, alright? Snake raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. He headed down the stairs, Junpei bringing up the rear. He couldn't bring himself to ask. He told himself he knew the answer already, but he couldn't bring himself to ask what the girl's last name had been. With every step he took, the cold, hard sound of feet against metal dug at his heart. Shall we crack open the sheldrake? This is what the shadow picture was pointing to. Fifth volume, clearly. Well, would you look at that? There's a big red button behind this book. Guess we should press it. Boop. Okay. What was that sound? It sounded like something really big was moving. It came from the top floor. Alright, let's go check it out. Oh, that was Junpei. We're going to check it out, he said in a normal voice. Okay, going forward. What do we got? This handle's gonna open the door for me. Junpei grunted. 7 agreed. Man, doesn't matter how hard we pull, this thing isn't going anywhere. It's probably locked. And the other one probably is too. So what's this? This looks like an output monitor. I bet the letters you type in on the keyboard will show up here. But you gotta type something on that keyboard. Yeah, but you can only enter letters. And it looks like you only ever enter 4 letters. Let's see how it works. I guess you need to hit enter once you type in the letters. And you can erase what you typed with clear. Okay, I get the basic operations. Let's give it a shot. Wait. Is this gonna be the same as... What the hell's the point of these? Roman... What is Snake doing? These Roman numerals, if you convert them to Arabic numerals, you'll have 13, 14, 10, and 13. True. But this keyboard only has letters, and we can only enter 4. The keyboard only has 4 letters, and we can only enter 4. Then why don't you just convert the numbers to letters? Convert the numbers to letters. File. Do I have... Numeral system chart. Okay, so 10, 11, 12, 13. Wait, yeah, it's 13, 14, 10. Oh, god damn it. I type in the letters. If I screw up, I can delete what I typed with clear. Thanks, Dad. You did it, Junpei. It's unlocked now. Good job, Junpei. Whoa there, don't get too excited. Password was dead, remember? Just makes me think whatever's waiting for us isn't good. So what? Jeez, you're such an old lady. We can't be worrying about stuff like that. I mean, come on. We got it to unlock, didn't we? Let's go. Hurry up. Alright, let's get this thing open. You found it. The door opened, and Junpei and the others leapt through it. But no sooner had they done so than the clang of metal on metal rang out behind them. Behind them? Yes, they spun around. The door they'd just come through had slammed shut. Junpei grabbed hold of it with both hands and pulled with all his strength. He grunted mightily. Damn it. Looks like it locks automatically. Is there any other way out? Well, there's another door over on the right. There's a card reader next to it. It's got a red light on it, though, so I'm pretty sure it's locked too. But there is a card reader, right? Yeah. Then perhaps if we find a key card, we could open the door and leave. Well, yeah, that might work, but... Hey, wait a minute. Are you saying we're gonna have to search through this room for one little card? Oh, man. They took a second look at the room they'd found themselves in. Serious cat chasing's happening right now. It was filled with piles upon piles of all manner of things. The only word that could describe it was chaotic. It was like a tornado had passed through, followed by a giant who had picked up and shaken the entire room a few times. Junpei's heart fell. Clover and Seven looked as though they were about to cry.
Well, we can sit down and wait to die if that's what you'd prefer. I rather doubt that, however, so it would be wise to start looking. We haven't much time. Let's find that key card. Oh, and the Neptune key as well. We won't be able to get through the hallway without it. All right then. Let's begin. Just such a huge fan of these little gameplay rituals. You are now entering the look around zone. Piles of crap everywhere. This is a mess. Some of this crap looks familiar. I think a lot of these are parts of the puzzles we've solved in the other rooms. If that's true, then this room could be Zero's laboratory. Perhaps Zero would shut himself in this room to devise the machines and puzzles he'd need to see his plan come to fruition. Isn't this a nautical table? Yeah, I feel like I've seen this before. I guess I have it. Oh, ooh, okay, that's a new one. Okay, so I'll have that when I need it. The pipe, great. This now, there's a control panel in front of the big screen here. Wonder if any of these buttons do anything. Something on the screen now. What's this? There are 15 cells here with numbers and letters in them. Let me see that. Oh, I see. So whenever you touch a cell, the ones next to it turn on or off. You just gotta use that to make the all cells on the right and the bottom green. Hey, Junpei, I found this piece of paper under that thing. You wanna take a look at it? Do you think this might have something to do with the puzzle? Piece of paper Clover gave me. There are a bunch of numbers and letters connected by equal signs on it. Just like she said, this is probably related to the puzzle on the screen somehow. Thanks, Clover. This really helps. Alright, let's go back and try again. Anyway, it looks like I just need to make all of the cells all green. Okay. Wait. I don't think I have what I need to solve this one. It's a lot harder than I expected. According to the chart Clover gave me, I just need to plug in a number for each letter. It's a numbers and physics. I'm not. That's that thing. This monitor is part of this machine. It's really dim though. It's got a map of the world on it. I can barely see it. Covering something. What are you? Something written on these pieces of paper. Like we got 3 sheets of the stuff. Oh, good.
Keyboard. Let's tab a few keys, see if we wake this thing up. Damn, no dice. Mouse, nothing happens when I mess with it. 4 indentations on the desk. I wonder if I'm supposed to put something into them. Piles of crap everywhere. This is a pretty impressive mess. If we try and search every one of these, we're gonna be back at it till the cows come home. Well, that doesn't seem too bad. We won't have to go bring them in ourselves then. Don't you get smart with me, kid. How about we deal with this area later, okay, guys? Maybe we should try something more promising. I can figure this out. I should look over the instructions. Yeah, okay. 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 You seem to have done an excellent job in solving the puzzle. I cheated. This one would have been impossible. Check out the right edge of the control panel. The lid slid open and something came out. Cross emblem. Oh ho! Junpei, it looks like there's a compass on there. Now I get it. What do you mean? Guess you weren't there, Clover, but I solved a puzzle like this one in the wheelhouse. I think I just need to do the same thing here. The same thing? The important part is this nautical table we just found. I just have to match up the directions on the compass with the lines on the nautical table. I used the steering wheel on the wheelhouse, but this time, I think I'm going to use the wheel attached to the side here. Okay then, show me. Now. Of course. Maybe I ought to run through the instructions. Probably works the same way as the steering wheel in the wheelhouse did. If I just touch the direction I want it to turn to, the compass will turn that direction. Then I just gotta press stop when the compass is pointing to where I want it to. I'm betting something will happen if I can do it right. Let's do this. Well, can I... Don't say, damn it, I can't figure it out, because I do just need to touch the thing. Check this thing, okay. West, southeast, northeast, east, north, east. West, southeast, northeast, east, north, east. Oh, it's... You dolt. West. Southeast. What's the damn map up here? I didn't have to remember it. Your trans device according to the instructions on the nautical table. Oh, god damn it. There's a first step I'm not seeing. Oh. West. Southeast. Northeast. East. North. Nope. And just restart. Maybe I should not go over the instructions again because everything's fine. South. West. Southeast. Northeast. East. North. East. There we go. Who's a good boy? Knock it off. I don't have time for screwing around right now. Check out the right side of the monitor. Just kind of slid open. Oh, yeah. I heard a noise too. You know that big box in the hall by the exit? I think it made a noise. Like something unlocking, you know? A noise, huh? Hey, the box by the entrance? This one? Metal shutter looks pretty sturdy. It's flamed with black and yellow warning stripes. What happens if we open it? Oh, holy shit! That is a pretty damn creepy coffin. There's a coffin in there. A coffin. A coffin. Oh man, does Seven think... Yeah, he's all pale. He's thinking the same thing I am. No way. Could this be? I'm sorry, but what's going on? It's a coffin. I wonder if there's a vampire in it. Right, I guess Clover and Snake don't know the story. And I can't bring myself to tell them. Well, at any rate, let's have a look around. There's a metal plaque on the coffin. Snake's touching it. All ice. Ah, the two machines. Holy shit. Man, this is serious. Ah, well, let's open it, shall we? Clover, if you could give me a hand. Okay, I got it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. What is in here? No luck, it doesn't seem to be ready to open. Yeah, but it's not like it's screwed shut or something. Yes, I believe it's locked in some other way. Hey, Seven, you think you could open up with your superhuman strength? No, what's wrong? I think I'll just pass on this one, okay? What the heck? Very well, we'll just have to give up on the coffin for now. Let's look around the room a little more, shall we? Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the forge of knowledge beneath the navel of the gigantic. Is that actually true? Oh, is this a different... Oh, it's a different one. See what happens when I... Okay. Oh, well now we've got something on the screen at least. Huh? What is this? Oh, wait a minute. I saw something like this when I figured out that Morse code puzzle back in the communications office. Morse code? Yeah. The dots on here look like dits for Morse code. There's 2 dots on the first line, 4 on the second, and 1 on the last. Ah, I'm afraid I don't understand. Well... Perhaps you should give it a shot anyway? Alright, I'll try. Before I do that, though, if I just tap the button, it'll enter a dip. If I hold the button down, it'll enter a dot. Once we enter our answer, it'll automatically determine if it was the correct answer or not. I can also switch through the code sheets I've got by touching the 3 icons over on the right. Let's do this. So, if the other one was all, maybe this one is... ice. I see. It seems you've solved the puzzle, Junpei. Excellent work. The answer was ice. How did you know? All I had to do was listen to the sounds the machine made. After that, it was a trivial matter to decode them. Ah, yes. I believe I heard a noise from somewhere on the right of the device after you solved the puzzle. It sounded rather like something sliding open. Do you see anything that could have made that noise? Yes. Ah, one more thing. I heard a sound from behind the shutter. Perhaps the coffin is unlocked now? What? Oh, thank God. The coffin is open. Alright, fine. I'll open it. Okay, Junpei, you can do this. It's just a box. It's just a box. Oh, holy shit, this is a coffin. There's gonna be something horrible in there. I just know it. Okay, okay, deep breaths. Here we go. Oh man, there's nobody in there. Shit. Can't believe I was scared of something like that. What do you mean, nobody? Were you expecting someone to be in there? It's a long story. Ask Junpei about it sometime. Well, just like Seven said, there's nobody in there. There is something in there, though. Well, 2 somethings. What is that? There are 2 things on the bottom of the coffin. Looks like we've got a plate with an emblem on it and... the Neptune key! Yes, we finally found it. Now we can get through the hallway. That's correct, Clover, but we do need to get out of this room first, you know? Yeah, I know. Okay. Let's get the hell out of here as quickly as possible. I don't have any objections to that. I don't think we'll use the Neptune key in this room. It's really important, though, so I'll keep it in my pocket for now. With all the seriousness of Mr. Rogers reminding his one blind friend that he's feeding the fishes, this game tells you not to worry. The Neptune key is safe. Fine. Alright, I've put the emblems into the 4 indentations on the desk, but... Huh? Nothing's happening. Wait, what's Snake doing? I feel symbols engraved just above each indent. On the upper left is the steering wheel symbol. On the upper right, the cross symbol. On the bottom left, the mysterious circle symbol. And lastly, the waffle pattern is engraved near the bottom right indentation. Additionally, each symbol seems to have been given a number. 1 steering wheel, 2 cross, 3 circle, 4 waffle patterns. Perhaps we need to insert the emblems in this order. That order, huh? Just drop the emblem of the steering wheel. Whoa. Well, now we've got something on the monitors, at least. What's that? Looks like some kind of puzzle. I wonder if these are the rules. Here, I'll read them to you. When you touch a numbered area, that area will be selected and it will turn blue to indicate this. Touching a numbered ball after selecting an area will cause that ball to be moved to that area. However, you cannot move the red balls. You can only move 3 to 5 balls into a single area. Press the check button once you have moved all the balls, except for the red ones, which you cannot move. The digital root of the balls in an area must match the number for that area. That's it. Still don't really get it. Whatever. Like they say, practice makes perfect. Nice. Let's give it a shot. Don't you mean practice makes perfect? Hey, let's see you solve the next one, then you can make fun of me. Okay. Wait, I can do this. Four to get 3. 1 and 2 and 3. So 13. Okay, yeah, okay, obviously. I thought you were going to be able to... Dope. Okay, this is it, right? But nothing's happening. There are still 3 more indentations left empty. I imagine something will happen when they're all filled. Doesn't that seem likely? Yeah, let's put in the emblem of the cross. Hey Junpei, something just showed up on the screen. Yeah, it's gonna be the same puzzle, but there's more of those red balls you can't move. Numbers for each area are different too. Looks like it's just got the same rules as the last one though. You sure you don't want to double check that? No, I'll be fine. If I get confused, I can just look at the screen, right? Picture's worth 1,000 words. Let's give it a shot. What did I... Wait. At least I'm trying alright. I need to get 10. Okay, 18, 26. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. 5 and 6 is 11, and 7 is 18, and 8 is 26. No, no one. Shoot. Wait, if I just... Oh, that. Okay, got it. And code. Those lifeless ones. Rules are the same. Buy more red balls. If you can't think of anything clever, please don't strain yourself. You might hurt something. Okay. Oh, 7 and 7. I think it could be like that. 2, 6, and 8 would do it. And 4 and 5 is 9, and yeah. A lot easier with your numbers, your variables. You've only got one left. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Lights up again. This is the 4th one. This puzzle looks... Yeah, they kind of do. Probably the last one. Once we solve this puzzle, I'm sure something will happen. Solve it in no time.
Wait a minute. Two, 4, 5, 7, 8. Snake, 7, Lotus, Clover, and me. There's no way we get out. Wait. Huh? Did you hear something just now? I heard that as well, from the bottom left corner of the desk, I believe. A picture. In the drawer was a single picture. He picked it up. It was a photograph of 4 men. Involuntarily, Junpei's eyebrows shot up. He'd seen 3 of them before. On the right was a man with a mustache, the same man they'd found murdered in the captain's quarters. He'd been wearing the 0 bracelet when they found him. Pardon me, the O bracelet. Second from the left was a man wearing glasses and a doctor's coat. He was the 9th man, the one who'd worn bracelet number 9. He had gone into door 5 alone and met an unpleasant end. Finally, the man on the very left, the man in the pinstripe suit. Oh man, that's Ace. Yeah, I guess it is. No doubt about it. 7 and Clover had come over to peer over Junpei's shoulders. But what did it mean? What was Ace doing in the picture? Perhaps more importantly, why were the 9th man and Cap in it as well? As Junpei looked closer, he noticed the expression on each man's face. Their smiles suggested that they were close, at least to some degree. But why? How? What was the relationship between these 4 men? Snake's voice broke into Junpei's thoughts. You say Ace is in that picture? Yeah. Doesn't look like it was taken recently, though. Ace, the 9th man, and Cap all look about 10 years younger? Ah, so the 9th man and the man you found murdered in the captain's quarters are also on the picture. Yeah. Is there anyone else? Or are there only 3 people in the picture? I'm afraid I can't see it. No, there's one more guy. He's got kind of long hair. He looks smart, but a little cold. He's the only one I don't recognize. Snake knit his eyebrows. What's the date of the photograph? It doesn't have one. Did you look on the back? The back? Yes, the reverse. The other side. Junpei flipped the picture over. There it was. To be precise, it wasn't a date, but it was certainly significant. He read it out loud so that Snake would not be left in the dark. Praying for the success of the Nanuri Project, with Nijisaki, Kubota, and Musashido. Nanuri Project. Nijisaki, Kubota, Musashido. Junpei immediately flipped the picture back over. That meant that the 4 men in this picture had run the Nanuri game 9 years ago. Only Hongo had not been mentioned in the back, which Junpei felt meant he had written those words himself. But what surprised Junpei was not this revelation, but the fact that it felt nothing like a revelation. It felt obvious. That their true identities did not come as a surprise was what Junpei found most surprising. Why then? Why wasn't he surprised? Junpei had just discovered that Ace had run the Nanuri Project, but he felt no spark of excitement or surprise, nothing. It was almost as if he'd already known. Ah, of course. I understand now.
Junpei looked over at Snake. In his own confusion, he had missed the dark look on the other man's face. Ace was the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical. He was the one who invented the game 9 years ago. He was Gentaro Hongo. Ace is Hongo. Even as he asked, Junpei felt as though he'd already known. It was as if someone had whispered into his head that, yes, of course, Ace was Hongo. I had my suspicions from the beginning. Their voices were familiar, too familiar to be a coincidence. I could never forget his voice. It was the voice of the devil. I couldn't be sure, though. After all, I had no way to check. Certainly couldn't ask him. Even if I had known, however, I would never have told you. Zero made it quite clear what would have happened if I did. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. Huh? I didn't know that Ace was Hongo. Oh yes, I suppose you wouldn't have. 9 years ago, you were in Building Q in Nevada. But Hongo was in the Gigantic with us. I know. That's why I didn't know what Hongo looked like. But why? Why didn't you tell me? I mean, I'm your sister, right? You could have told me. I'm sorry. I apologize for keeping this from you, but if I'd told you, Clover, you would have told everyone else. And if you did, then I would have been forced to tell them about what happened 9 years ago. I had to prevent that. Clover and Snake's conversation wasn't of particular interest to Junpei. He still couldn't make sense out of his strange feelings of knowledge. He was trying to organize his thoughts when he heard Seven's voice. Hey Junpei, think I could borrow that picture for a sec? He had no reason to say no, so Junpei handed the picture over. Seven stared at the picture and began to mutter the 4 names of the project's leaders over and over to himself. Hongo, Kubota, Nijisaki, Musashido. His brow was furrowed and his face was flushed. Hongo, Kubota, Nijisaki, Musashido. He chanted their names to himself, pacing back and forth across the floor. He said the names again. Seven shouldn't have known their names. After all, he hadn't been there when Junpei and Snake had spoken of them in the library. But as Junpei watched him pace, it was clear that he did know them. Hey Seven, do you...
Shut it! Just be quiet.
His eyes were red and Junpei could see sweat beginning to bead on his forehead.
I'm this close to remembering. This close.
He was sweating heavily now, but his lips were dry.
Hongo, Kubota, Nijisaki, Musashido, Cradle Pharmaceutical, Nonary Project.
Then he stopped. Seven set down the picture and looked at the red light near his feet. His eyes narrowed. Then suddenly his eyes went wide and he shot up straight.
Shit!
What? What's wrong?
Holy shit, this is nuts.
What's nuts?
I remember.
Remember what?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah, I remember all of it. My memory's back. I remember what happened before I got snatched.
Seven's voice was filled with excitement. Shock and excitement had frozen Junpei in place along with Snake and Clover.
Let me tell you what happened.
Seven hastily drew a shaking hand across his mouth and began to speak.
Like Snake said, Ace is Hongo. From the right, the other 3 are Musashido, Nijisaki, and Kubota. Musashido was the man with the cash. Nijisaki was Hongo's right-hand man, and Kubota developed the actual technical details of the experiments.
Realization began to dawn on Junpei along with a pressing question. How do you know all this?
Come on, man, I told you, I finally got my memory back.
No, that's not what I mean. I'm trying to ask why you knew all this stuff in the first place, before you forgot it. Seven rubbed the scar on his chin.
You really want to know?
Of course. Me too. Snake was the only one who didn't voice any sort of agreement. It looked to Junpei as if he was simply waiting to see where Seven's sudden recovery might take them.
This is gonna take a while.
Doesn't it always?
Hell, it'll probably take me a good 3 days to tell you everything.
Well, we don't have 3 days. Just give us the short version, alright?
Short version, huh?
The big man pulled off his hat and scratched his head. He made a face and put his hat back on.
Alright, fine.
I'll give it a shot. No promises, though. Seven was a lone wolf detective who valued his own code over the rules, doing what was right over doing what you were told. That was why on that fateful day, he'd gone with his gut and gone to the wharf at a night on a slim lead. It was 9 years ago. The wharf had been dark and cold and foreboding. At the time, he'd been investigating a spate of kidnappings, all of them children. They'd all had one thing in common, a history of visits to one particular hospital. The hospital had been under the management of Cradle Pharmaceutical, and Seven's investigation had turned up evidence that Cradle had been involved in the kidnappings. After a little persuasion, he'd managed to finally get a real lead from someone inside Cradle Pharmaceutical. They told him that that night, a ship was set to take the children from where they were being held to a large passenger liner docked offshore. Seven had, of course, gone to the wharf. Hidden in the shadows, he'd searched the harbor until at last he found the ship he was looking for. There were a number of human shapes moving near the ship. There were men in black suits. Many of them were carrying large bags. The bags. There was something about the way they moved as they were carried. There could be no mistake. There were human beings in those bags. He had moved before he even realized he was going to. Out of the shadows he came, his gun already in his hand. He heard the words, "Don't move," but they weren't his. He felt metal touch the back of his head. "Drop your gun," came the cold voice from behind him. "I could kill you right now. It would mean nothing at all. I need only tie an anchor to your feet, and I doubt anyone will see you for perhaps a week or so. Is that what you'd like? The fish here would be thankful for the meal." With the words, he felt the cold metal thing behind him press against his skull. Slowly, Seven crouched down and laid his gun on the ground. Then he felt a sudden sharp pain in his neck. A needle. Was it some sort of drug? As he was thinking about that, Seven felt his face hit the cold concrete beneath him. He could feel the chill of it seeping into him. Damn it. Shit, my head hurts. Seven woke to find himself lying on a hard floor. He twisted his neck to peer around the room. Where am I? There was a small, shabby bed and a dirty sink. A toilet with no stall or privacy of any sort. As a cop, it was a place Seven had seen all too often. I'm in a cell, huh? Opposite the toilet was a door set into the wall. Seven struggled to his feet and hobbled toward it. He gave the door a good shove, then another, then tried pulling it. It didn't open. Well, that was about what he'd expected. It wasn't likely that someone would put him in a cell only to leave it unlocked. He threw himself against the door a few times, but to no avail. I knew it. Seven grumbled to himself as he moved back toward the bed. He sat down. He sat there for a very long time. Just how long, he wasn't sure. At last, he began to nod off and had nearly fallen asleep when he was roused by a distant voice. There's over. It's 9. The voice was far away, very far away. Seven couldn't understand what it was saying. Nonetheless, it was a voice, and a high one, most likely a child. His eyes shot open. It's okay. As he listened, he could pick out several different distinct voices. There were at least 5 or 6, possibly more. Where were the voices coming from? He looked around the room frantically. Perhaps the door? No, that wasn't it. Was it coming from the left? Was it coming from under the bed? He grabbed the bed and flipped it up with ease. There it was. There was a hole for ventilation in the wall, where the bed had been, covered with a metal grate. Seven lay down on his stomach and peered through the grate. He couldn't see anything, it was too dark. Now that he'd found it, however, there could be no doubt this was the source of the voices. For a moment he was confused. Why were there children nearby? Then he remembered what the man from Cradle Pharmaceutical had told him. How a ship would take the kidnapped children from the wharf to a waiting passenger liner out in the ocean. Was Seven on that passenger liner? It didn't matter. What mattered was that he found a way to the children. Seven looked at the metal grate. Could he fit through that hole? He stuck his fingers through the grate and grabbed hold of it. He grunted a few times. Yeah, how'd you like that, you son of a bitch? The dark square sat open before him. Seven wiped the sweat from his forehead and crawled inside. The first section of the duct was small. Seven could do little more than wriggle along on his belly. After a time, however, it got a little larger, and even someone as large as Seven was able to crawl along on his hands and knees. He felt like he'd grown from an inchworm to an insect. Not much of an improvement, but it was better than nothing. He'd begun to wonder where the duct would take him when... There was a thunderous sound, like a massive metal door slamming shut. Then he heard a voice. Warning. Warning. Emergency incineration command has been acknowledged. Automatic incineration will take place in 18 minutes. Please evacuate the incinerator immediately. Repeat. Emergency incineration command has been acknowledged. The voice wasn't harsh, but something about the calm with which it spoke made it even more terrifying. Seven wasn't sure what it meant, but incinerator certainly didn't sound good. Then, almost as if to confirm his suspicions, he heard a chorus of young voices, screaming no and help me. Many of the voices were simply screaming in terror, mixing with one another to create a single horrifying howl. Damn it. What the hell is going on here? Seven began to crawl along the duct as fast as his arms and legs would carry him. The noise he made was tremendous, but he was long past caring. A few moments later, a metal door appeared on the left side of the duct. Seven could hear the screams of the children from the other side of it. This was it. He grabbed hold of the handle and threw the door open. The old metal gave way easily before his onslaught. What the hell is this place? The room he was looking out into had a dome for a ceiling and 9 equally sized walls. The top of the dome was an upside-down funnel. It looked almost like a chimney. Then he looked down. There they were, the children he'd been looking for. They stared up at Seven, their cries silenced for the moment by surprise and fear. Whether they were scared of the room or him, Seven couldn't tell. It was certainly possible that they were frightened of both. Not that I could blame them running into a mug like this when they're already scared shitless. He permitted himself a short snort of a laugh, then turned to the children again. Don't worry, kids. I'm not your enemy. I'm one of the good guys. Not a single one of them moved. Except for one. He was a boy, slightly older than the others, in a private school uniform. Who the hell are you? As he spoke, he took a tentative step forward and gave Seven a suspicious look. I'm a detective. I'm here to rescue you. The moment the words were out of his mouth, he could see the children relax. How are you going to help us? The boy in the uniform asked. Where's the exit? Seven responded. There isn't one. The doors we came in through won't open, and the door over there. He cut himself off, considered something, and then continued. Anyway, there's no point. We can't all get out of here. If we don't get out of here, we're going to be burned to death. Burned to death? Can't you hear it? That voice said the incinerator's going to start up soon. And there it is again. The voice spoke again. Automatic incineration will take place in 15 minutes. They only had 15 minutes. Seven looked back down at the children. It was a good 20 or 30 feet to the floor. There was no way he could pull the children up. That was when he had an idea. Wait right there. I'm going to be right back. What? Where is he going? Are you just going to leave us in here? Seven did his best to smile what he felt was a reassuring smile. Don't worry, alright? I'll be back, I promise. So just stay calm and wait right there, got it? He didn't wait to hear them respond. There wasn't time. He ran as fast as a man could run on his hands and knees. Before long, he was back in his cell. He was back where he had started, but he had a plan. There was something there that he needed. As soon as he was finished, he dove back into the duct and took off toward the incinerator.
Sorry to keep you waiting, guys.
Leaning out of the door in the duct, Seven lowered the rope he'd brought to the floor of the incinerator. Back in the cell, he'd torn the bed sheets into strips, tied them together to make a rope. Like Seven himself, it wasn't very attractive, but it got the job done.
Alright, just tie that around yourself, okay? I'll pull you up one at a time.
Right. Huh? Wait a sec. That was when he noticed.
There were more of you before. Where'd the rest of you go?
The boy in the uniform answered. I let them go on ahead. We opened the number 9 door and they left.
What? You're telling me you opened that door?
That's what I said.
Then what the hell are you doing here?
We couldn't go with them.
Why not?
Look, the only people who can go through the numbered door... Automatic incineration will take place in 5 minutes. The voice reverberated against the walls of the room. Look, that can wait, alright? Just get us out of here.
Right.
Seven grabbed a hold of the rope. First up was a girl with a ponytail. Next was the girl with the red necktie, followed by the boy in a jacket who said he'd climb up on his own. The last up was the boy in the uniform. Like the boy in the jacket, he climbed up the rope himself. He'd looked scrawny from above, but his looks belied impressive strength. He scaled the rope quickly, but as he was almost to Seven, they heard the sound of someone knocking. All eyes turned to the door. Cut into it was a thick square window. On the other side, they could see a furious face.
God damn it, what's going on here? Why is the room empty? Where the hell are those fucking kids?
The door opened and a man stepped in, looking half mad with fury. Seven recognized his face. He'd seen him many times in photos during his investigation. The man's name was Gentaro Hongo, the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical. Hongo saw the boy hanging from the rope. He screamed. He roared like an animal and lunged for the rope.
Hurry!
I know! The boy in the uniform resumed his scramble up the rope.
You son of a bitch, get back here, you little shit!
He was 15 feet away, 10. The moment he came within arm's reach, Seven grabbed the boy in the uniform. With a jerk, he tossed him into the duct behind him. Hongo roared again. He'd lost any semblance of control. His face no longer looked human. It was twisted into something terrifying, the visage of a devil or a ferocious monster. Seven quickly reeled in his rope, leaving a furious Hongo on the floor of the room, and crawled back into the duct.
You fucking bastard! You won't get away with this. How dare you compromise this experiment?
What experiment? Seven wondered. Automatic incineration will take place in 1 minute.
Hey old man, what the hell are you doing? Hurry up!
It was the boy in the uniform. Seven tossed Hongo a taunting salute and pulled the door closed. There was no point to going back to Seven's cell, so they continued down the duct in the other direction. After 30 feet or so, another duct met theirs, heading down. They nodded at one another, then turned and slid down the duct. A short time later, they crawled out of the duct to find themselves in a narrow hallway. There was a door on each side of it. And a cat in my lap. The one on the right was a familiar thick metal door with a black and yellow stripes and a device on the wall next to it. On the door was a plate that read, Incinerator. Then that's where we were. Yeah, Hongo might still be there. Looks like it's been shut off, though. Wait, what? If he's still in there... Yeah, that's not good. Seven grunted.
Fine, the other door. Go into the other door. Hurry.
The children began to run, with Seven following close behind them. On the other side of the door was a large spiral staircase. "Run!" Seven shouted. They didn't need to be told twice. Up and up and up they went. Their feet pounded against the steps and their arms churned the air. Round and round and round they went like a human tornado. The stairway kept going. Guys look familiar at all? They'd passed a couple of rooms that looked to be dance halls when the boy in the uniform spoke. "Something's up. Akane's not catching up to us." "Akane? My kid sister. The girl with the red necktie." Akane? That was strange. Seven didn't remember seeing that name in the list of children who'd gone missing. "Hey, Akane!" He cupped his hands around his mouth and yelled. There was no response. Maybe we outran her. Suddenly, the boy in the uniform stopped short. Seven stopped too, as did the boy in the jacket and the ponytailed girl. When did we do that? Well, we passed a couple big rooms on the way here. Maybe she took a rest in one of them. No, that's impossible. Sorry, Grandpa, you keep going. I gotta look for her downstairs. He turned to go. Hey, kid, wait! God damn it, I said wait! The boy didn't even seem to hear him. Fuck! Seven spun around and yelled to the boy in the jacket and the girl with the ponytail. Going after him. You two keep going, alright? You got it? The girl nodded and began to run up the stairs. The boy, however, I'm going with you. Seven didn't have time to argue. Instead, he simply nodded and took off down the stairs. The boy in the jacket followed. They ran all the way to the bottom floor, calling for her. Akane was nowhere to be found. God damn it, where the hell did she go? God damn it, where the hell did she go? The boy in the uniform couldn't hide his frustration. Help me, somebody help me. It was a girl's voice. Akane! The boy in the uniform threw open the door and leapt into the hallway that faced the incinerator. Seven and the boy in the jacket followed. Seven couldn't believe what he saw. Hongo had grabbed Akane by the arm and was doing his utmost to force her into the incinerator. Come on, goddammit, move! No, I don't want to. Let me go. Please let go of me. She had planted her feet squarely on the floor and was doing her best to get away. But Hongo was much larger than she was. She wasn't going to win. Akane! The boy in the uniform shouted. He roared with anger and charged toward Hongo. You came back. You're too late, idiot. Hongo lifted Akane bodily from her feet and threw her struggling into the incinerator. She screamed. Before Seven or the boy in the uniform could react, Hongo leapt through the door after her. They saw him land inside, and then the door slammed shut, with the finality of a great steel guillotine. The three of them ran to the door. They pulled and strained, trying desperately to get it open. Fuck! It's no use, the goddamn thing won't move an inch. The boy in the uniform cried out and began to slam his fists against the door. He hit it with such force, Seven feared his knuckles would shatter from the impact. He kept screaming, Akane, Akane, are you okay? The sheer terror in her voice was unmistakable. What should I do? I think I'm trapped in here. Where's Hongo? He went out the other door. What? Warning. Warning. Emergency incineration command has been acknowledged. Automatic incineration will take place in 18 minutes. Please evacuate the incinerator immediately. Repeat. Emergency incineration command has been acknowledged. Are you fucking kidding me? Seven was at a loss. It's the same damn thing. Are you there? Akane's voice sounded close to tears. Yeah, we're here. Just hang on, alright? We're gonna figure out a way to save you. If she could have seen the bloodless face of the boy in the uniform, his words would have seemed like little more than a sick joke. Automatic incineration will take place in 17 minutes. Please, please help me. I'm really, really scared. I don't want to die. Please, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. It's gonna be alright. I'll figure something out, I promise. I promise, okay? You hear me? I promise! They could hear her muffled sobs from the other side of the door. The boy in the uniform tightened his fists. His knuckles were a bloodless white. Seven could tell that he was holding back tears of his own. It was silent. All they could hear was the creaking of the boat as it shifted in the water. They waited.